Greetings, YouTube. Over the course of my life, both here on the internet and out here in the real world, I've encountered people who have expressed the sentiment that the old days were better. And I've taken to asking the person a question when they say that. And my question is, for who? Because the answer to that question has been the same for about the last 1,000 years. And that answer is white, Christian, straight males. If you were one of those in the last 1,000 years, then yes, that past could very well have been better than today from a certain viewpoint, because the white, Christian, straight males were on top. They were in charge. And over time, they've lost a lot of their privilege, and that scares the crap out of that particular demographic. But it's not always white, Christian, straight males that express that sentiment. I've heard women express it, which kind of is strange, particularly in the past, earlier than say the 1970s, because their privilege was somewhat curtailed by the white, Christian, straight males. And I even heard a black person express it once. Harry Belafonte once expressed that same sentiment, which is just astounding, seeing as he did in fact live through the 60s and knows what it was like to be a minority in America, and also know it to be very, very poor. He came from a very poor place. So he got to experience it both as on a level of bigotry for his particular race and because of class. And yet he still expressed it. I guess the lenses that some people use to look into the past are, in fact, rose-colored. But the reality is that for most people, the past is not a better place. If you were a minority, a woman, if you weren't straight, if you weren't Christian, Europe, the British Empire, and America, or the American Empire by extension, were not good places to be. It was not a better time. It was not a golden era. There has never been a golden era for everyone. There has been good times for certain groups at different times in the past, as there are good times in the present for certain groups, and there will be good times in the future for certain groups. Now, the goal of wacky progressives such as myself is to expand the number of people in that group to eventually include everyone, so that we can all have good times. We can all exercise and enjoy the same rights and responsibilities. That's the goal of being a progressive. As opposed to some of the regressives that are in the world today who want to take away the rights and privileges of a lot of humanity. Not all of those fall into the category of white, Christian, straight males. Some of those fall into the category of Muslim straight males, or Jewish straight males, or any other demographic you'd like to throw in there that endorses the concept that some groups should not have the same rights and privileges as the group they are. And it distresses me when I hear these voices, because they have blinders on. Really big blinders. Now, the past is interesting. The past can be fascinating. The past can be something that we need to remember, that we need to preserve so that we don't forget. I myself venerate the dead every Samhain, October 31st, Halloween, and I include the people that in my life that are important who have passed in my prayers every day, but I do not worship the dead. I do not want to live in the past. You can't live in the past. The past is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. The past is a book. We can learn from it. We cannot rewrite it. And you cannot live inside of a book. That is not healthy. You need to live in the present, and you need to look to the future. It's always been that way. I spent decades of my life trapped living in the past because living in the past was safe. Even though the past was horrible. My memories of that era were terrible. having lived and grown up with an abusive drug, having fallen victim to 2 different people who took sexual advantage of me as a minor, from being wrapped in anxiety and depression for decades, and yet I still wanted to live in that past because it was a known. It was a known quantity. And the present was scary because that meant I had to face myself and the people around me honestly and openly. And the future, whoa, the future was terrifying because it was an unknown. But what we need to do is help people so that they can face the present and they can look towards the future without fear. Without fear of the world around them, without fear of the groups that fall outside their particular demographic. And I would love to eradicate the meme that is, oh, the past was a better place. No, it wasn't. For some people, for some groups, sometimes it was. But not for everyone. And the future can be a better place because we can make it a better place. We can expand that group until it includes everyone. And that would be grand. That is a goal to seek. That is something that we can all work together on. And those that oppose it, those that are trying to preserve the present and curtail growth, or those that are trying to push us into the past and make it worse than it is now, well, we can sweep them into the dustbin of history. Because the future is where we need to be. The future is where we're going to live. And we need to make that the best possible future as we can. The absolutely best. And we can only do that through hard work and effort. We can only do that together. And we can. I promise you, we can. And isn't that just a wonderfully grand idea?